Good afternoon, Facebook and YouTube audiences. This is Jennifer Noreen. I'm here with Gary Parker as per usual. How are you, Gary?
I'm super duper awesome good.
Good. You're looking not tired, refreshed. You must have
Yeah,
cooked some barbecue or something.
yeah. I had about 4 hours of sleep and I had some barbecue, so I'm feeling pretty good right now.
It's about normal. Good, good,
About
good.
normal for me.
Yeah. So today, Gary has no time to talk about what we're going to do for topics for these videos. So sometimes I wing it a little bit and hope he'll come along. And it sounds like today he will. We want to hear some of his personal barbecue preferences, what he loves about the menu that they have at BBQ2U, and then also talk about what is it that is on the menu and why. And then are there any additions or fun crazies coming in the future that people are always asking you to change your menu. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. So the first question is, why barbecue and why Southern?
Why barbecue? Because that's who I am. That's how I grew up, right? Those are the staples, when you're a poor kid on the wrong side of the tracks and you're hanging out in the fields and you're plowing and you're farming and, it's nothing at least for me, it wasn't, to learn how to build fires and go put a bunch of meat on the pit, right? And let that sit there and take care of itself all day while you were out tending plowing or spraying or doing whatever the heck you had to do that day, and then by the end of the day, that barbecue's ready to go and you're starving. So why barbecue? It's just because it's in my soul. That's why.
Okay, so why Southern?
Because I'm a Southern. I was born in Texas, and that's just a Southern thing. And then what was really cool about it later, when I discovered more about the barbecue in and of itself, and I understand, I spent all that time in the Carolinas, and got to working with not Rodney, but the guys that cook like Rodney, and really got to understand pork, right, and as opposed to beef, right. That was really a big deal for me. Um, and then meeting people like up in Lexington, up at Snow's, where Tootie, does the chicken, right? And understanding, learning and observing and understanding what she did, it really just cultivated the whole barbecue experience, the Southern barbecue experience. So in short, I had Texas, and then I discovered Carolinas, right? And then I just kind of discovered the space in between, right? And so that is, in fact, the barbecue culture. I don't talk about it much, to your question point, but when I was an engineer, I had a team in Massachusetts, and I used to go up there for barbecue as well. And it's not talked about very much. And they had an interesting twist on barbecue as well, but and with their woods and things. And but it was a lot of fun. And one of the things you learn out of that is how ubiquitous you know uh, barbecue really is amongst different people.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure. This reminds me of eating seafood all over the place in the South. It can be very different as well. Yuck.
Right?
Some of it was yuck, and some of it was yum. So you said something about being in the Carolinas, and you mentioned someone named Judy.
Someone named Judy. Oh no, Rodney. Rodney Smith is the guy who won the oh, my memory fails me, the famous cooking award. Um,
Oh,
so right
okay, so
after,
you were mimicking a chef then.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so old that I can't remember obvious things. Um, Aaron
It's okay.
Franklin won it first for barbecue, the James Beard Award.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Aaron won it first for brisket when he was on his climb to fame. It wasn't too many years later where Rodney did in the Carolinas, and it was very different. And I could understand why James Beard did what he did, or the award team did what they did, because what you learn when you're cooking in the Carolinas is not only pork, but you learn how to do entire hogs at a time, right? And you don't use an indirect smoker. We've talked about smokers and the different kinds. No, what Rodney does is he takes a set of cinder blocks and he builds a big square out of them, right? And he leaves a little room for a door, and then he puts a grate over the top of that. Okay,
Mm.
and then what they do, they butterfly the pig and they put it on there. And then they don't build the fire inside there. They build the fire over in barrels and other things, and they're just throwing coals in there, which is a much different technique. I mean, it meets the principles that we've talked about here on the show,
Mhm.
of heat, smoke, all that kind of stuff, but it's all delivered differently, right? And so, and if you do that right and you tend it properly, you get these beautiful sucklet pigs, right? And so that's where the term pig picking comes from, because
Mhm.
when you're done with that, and basically all you do is you put it up on sawhorses, and you slice the skin down the back, right? And then you just open it up, and the meat in it is just incredibly flavorful and moist, and so Rodney really developed that, and so learning how those guys do that kind of stuff on those kinds of pits, and really understanding the nature of pork, by trying to do all the different textures of pork at once, by doing the pig.
Mhm.
Um, that was really enlightening, right? To do those things.
So it is not accurate to think of you as a Austin-based only barbecue expert. You really have done barbecue in a few different places, and that's
Right.
developed how you approach barbecue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that you're an engineer, and when you talk about barbecue, you sound like a scientist. It's hilarious. Yeah.
Well, I can do that too.
Yeah.
There's,
Okay.
there's a lot of different studies on that, right? And I enjoy reading them. Yeah.
I know you can tell. So why barbecue? Why Southern? Okay, yes, Southern, but also other influences. So how did you formulate the original BBQ2U menu? I mean, literally, did you just sit down at dinner one night and come up with what you wanted to serve, or
No, that was the menu. The original menu was fun because we were coming up on the end of construction in that place, and Carlton and I looked at each other and we said, there's two main things that we haven't done yet, and we're like a week or two away from opening here.
mm-hmm,
And the first one was to hire a staff, right? And so we were
mm-hmm,
talking about that. The other one was menu and what to
mm-hmm,
charge for things. Well, we knew we were going to do brisket because all the barbecue guys around town and around the area, they were already coming in. Once we got kind of the kitchen up, but before we got licensed, we were cooking briskets in there, practicing on the JNRs, and doing those kinds of things. And so we knew we were going to do brisket. From the Carolinas, I knew I was going to do pork and pork ribs, right? The beef ribs actually came along as a novelty, right? Because 7 years ago they weren't near as popular as they are today, and so but we started doing them anyway. So that gave me four meats, and then we actually started out. The chicken actually started out as quarters, chicken quarters,
mm-hmm.
and then we did that one. We did chicken quarters, and we did the one that we have today at the same time. And it was really customer's choice, because and actually the quarters were done in the snows that I learned, the stuff I learned from Tootie, right, and how she does it. It was really in that format, but the people liked the flavor of the thigh, right, that sweet barbecuey flavor, smoky flavor, and so we ended up sticking with that over time. But at one time we actually did the quarters. Um, and then it became sausage time, right? Because I did that, and of course you guys know the turkey breast, right? We did that, and then the seventh was the sausage, and for the longest time, all the way through COVID, those kind of things, I stayed real authentic and brought in Southside Market sausage out of Texas. I mean, we went to that trouble to freeze it, to pack it in dry ice, 3 day ship it. And at those kind of times, we could bear that expense and bring the novelty of that to the Pacific Northwest. Um, and then later, it just became too costly. Went with right after COVID with all the increases in transportation.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we went with so we looked around, and we were up at Safeco Field at the time, called T-Mobile Park today, but it was Safeco Field at the time. And we were watching the sausages that they were using, and we found out that we could get those out of Bellingham. And so we use those sausages today. a matter of fact, a lot of people ask me, why don't you make your own sausage, Gary? Right? Because I really could do that. Um, and the reason is I just simply don't have enough space in that kitchen, right? I would have to, in order to do it safely and properly, I would have to pick a day. I would have to take everything out of the walk-in. I'd have to set up the walk-in. I'd have to make the sausage, right? And then put everything back in. And so making sausage is something that's a futures for us. If we get a chance to remodel the store or get a chance to expand the store, I'll do a sausage making room, right?
Nice. Yeah, I was wondering about that too. So you talked a lot about pork, you talked about chicken, you talked about sausage. What about turkey? Was turkey on the menu from the very beginning?
Oh yeah, from the very beginning. And the reason turkey's on the menu from the very beginning is because when we first opened, my daughter worked for me, Lindsay, and she absolutely loved turkey. And she gets it at the original Blacks down in Lockhart, and so I made it for her. That was why we started out doing turkey breast.
Nice, nice. And then what about your vegan option? Has that always been on the menu?
Not the first year. That came in the second year. And I was enjoying some fellowship time with customers, and we were sitting at a table one night, and the guy was just the husband was just going all at it, right, and getting his meat sweat on and all that kind of thing, and talking about stuff, and the wife was just like, I'm here because first of all, you got wine, and second of all, because I love my husband and he gets this opportunity, but I don't have anything I can enjoy here. I'm a vegetarian. And so that kind of stuck in my brain that these guys that want to come in and get these meat sweats on, they have spouses that would really like to come, okay, but they don't want to pound those heavy meats and that kind of stuff. And so we discovered jackfruit. Now, young jackfruit, not mature jackfruit, but young jackfruit is very stringy. Okay, and so when that's properly prepped and brine, it's easy for us then to take it, get that over either in a skillet or a pot, get it hot, get it going, and it's flavorless. Which means it will pick up any flavor that you put in it, really. And so we started mixing some sauce and some spices and stuff together, and we developed the jackfruit recipe. And for the most part, people have really enjoyed that. It's been a surprise for people. I just did a wedding this weekend, and they were just enthralled with it, really. And they even when I take it out on catering, I can't put it out in the serving line. You guys have seen pictures of that serving line we set up. I cannot put it out with the primary products, and the reason I can't is because people will find out that that's what that is. It's jackfruit, and all the meat eaters will sample it to the point when the vegetarian comes through and needs it, it's gone, right? So we learned that lesson the hard way a couple times, and so we carry jackfruit with us most all the time when we're out on catering, but we keep it back in the hot holding cabinet until somebody announces that they are actually vegan and they're looking for it. Right?
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize you have a vegan option.
Yeah.
So,
but that's how it came about. I was just sitting at the table that night with those customers and listening to her talk. And it says if you're going to be a good merchant, you always listen to your customers. And so that's how that came about.
Yeah, no, that's a fun story. So, and you've transitioned from serving in trays. I know when we started working together, we were talking about trays, and there's still tray menus out on the search engines. But you transitioned to selling meat by the pound about a year ago. Can you talk about that just a little bit?
Oh, that was a couple, almost 3 years ago now.
Wow.
But yeah, at first we were trying to do the trays, and what I learned as a restaurant owner, they're impossible to price, right? Because I can say I'll give you just this for this price, right? But what happens if you want to skew it, or if you say, well, I'll trade you this for this and trade you this for this? And like I said, back 7 years ago, we could deal with that, with that shifting and stuff. But in today's world where pennies are everything, or 3 years ago where it started right after COVID and all the way up through now, it's impossible. The variation when you go into a matrix and a spreadsheet and try to figure out cost relationships for every possible variant on 3 different types of trays, and plug that all into a PO. It just got to be too much. And we asked ourselves, what are we really here for, and what are we really trying to do anyway? And we are a smokehouse. No matter how you look at us, whether you think restaurant or whatever, we are a smokehouse. Is what we are.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
and that offers sides. And so we just got it. We just got it down to being really simple. You can still have a tray. I still list the trays in places so that it gives you an understanding of how to what to order in order to make a tray.
Mhm.
Okay, and you can put as much or as little on the tray as you want, right?
Mhm.
Because I've got people that'll eat 6 pounds of meat when they come in, and I got people that come in and half a pound is about all they can muster, and they're still taking some home,
Mhm.
right? I mean,
Mhm.
seriously, the diversity of how much somebody wants is just infinite, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so we had to do that.
It's good to hear you say that, to call yourself a smokehouse, and that secondarily you have sides and you have desserts, which you have many delicious of both, but you are primarily a smokehouse, and I think that is
Yes.
your central expertise and it's what you're good at, what you're good at
Mhm.
serving. So it's good to hear you say that. And I know from watching your social media, you get pulled a lot of directions of people that want more sides, different sides, this meat, that meat, this
Mhm.
meat, or whatever.
Right.
And I think I see you all the time come back to that central focus of, hey, what we really do well is smokehouse. That's what we are. So we do need to talk about sides, though. That said, we do want to talk about sides. So, what's your most famous side? What's Gary Parker's favorite meat and side together? What's your
My two favorites, right?
no, you can only have one.
Then it's going to be the German style deviled egg potato salad. I mean, I'll eat that for breakfast. I'll eat that for dinner. Whatever I need a snack, I go and grab one of those things and pound it. Right? It's just what I love the most is because I love deviled eggs to start with, and I don't think they should that flavor should be reserved for just holidays. Let's eat it every day, right?
Yeah, it is good.
So
What's
I'm
your
a big potato salad guy.
is it correct to assume that brisket's your favorite meat?
Which one?
Brisket is your favorite meat? Is that correct?
Brisket's pretty good. All my meats are my favorite meat. That's why I make them. So, for example, wintertime or as we go into fall, like we are right now, I will typically take lean brisket. I'll trim it out and off the brisket and trim it out and then put it over a bed of mac and cheese, right?
Mhm.
And so it's kind of like a mac and meat, and then I'll counter that with the boat this time of year. As I move deeper into winter, then I will be on the Frito pie, which is why I added it because I kept eating it myself,
Mhm.
and people kept asking me, "What is that? What is that dish? Where's that on the menu?" And I said, "Well, it's not. It's something that I make. It's called Frito pie. So you lay the bed of Fritos down, and then you put chili over the top of it with a lot of cheese, right? So I'll typically shift out of the mac and meat over the time, and then I'll go to the boat, or the or the those or the wow, slow down, Gary. We'll go to the um, Frito pie. As I start to come into spring, and I start to get kind of spring fever ish kind of thing, right? I kind of stay on the boat, but I will start to move into chicken,
Mhm.
right? So I love to have my chicken sandwiches, and I bury them in those dill pickles that I have, right, and onion, right, and I will go on that into the spring, um, and most of the summer I will do that. Eventually, when I'm start feeling heavy, I'll get rid of the bread and just do it diced up, right? And then yeah, and then there's I interlace in. I love the sausage. I love the brat sausage with mustard, right? I picked that up because I used to go to Oktoberfest every year, and I miss my brats and mustard, right? So that's a really great way to do that. I love my pulled pork sandwiches, and I just can't get enough of them, and so I do that a lot. And then when football, like Super Bowls and college bowl season comes out, I am all about the pork ribs. Right, you'll see me there in the store, and I'll have six of them all done up. And sometimes during those sessions, I'll go get me a shiner and pretend I'm home again. I'll watch UT play or what have you. Right.
Mhm. Trying to show the beer. I don't think we have the beer here. Oh yeah, we do. There it is.
Yeah.
So if you want a nice visual of the menu, this is the best place to go see it on the website. There's also a PDF available, but this is easier. And then, of course, on the Chow Now system, you've got pictures. But I think this is the best place to really see the menu. You just go to the website and click menu.
I will add to things that are fan favorites that I don't particularly eat myself a lot is any of the things over the fries, right? So pork fries and those kinds of things, they're really good. It's just at 63 years old, I don't need that level of a carb, right? And, so I love them, but I really just can't eat them. I have to go down. Oh, and I forgot about I love my salads. You know, and the guys will tell you that there are times like in the middle of the summer, you know, I'm busy. I've got two caterings going on that day. Um, and I need to stay light, and I'll go grab that chicken Caesar and have that, right? And that'll fuel me really well. And of course, then we got the brisket gorgonzola that people just die for that one, and it's kind of fun. You know, you stop to think about having hot meats on cold salads and how does that work, right? But when you get it all mixed together, it's really an impact to the palate, and people love it.
Yeah, I used to think of chicken as a real secondary meat, and your chicken is anything but secondary. I mean, it's so delicious. I mean, it's not a salad with that bland, gross grilled chicken you get at a grocery store. This is super flavorful, moist, yummy chicken. So it's really good salads. I agree.
Yeah, and don't forget the turkey sandwiches. I fit them in there somewhere too, and I always make them with the dill pickles, but I will put cheese on it. Right.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'll do turkey, cheese, and pickles, and sometimes a little bit of mustard, and have a turkey sandwich. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. So many things to enjoy. So what about desserts?
Desserts? Oh, it's banana pudding, baby.
That is such a classic Southern dessert, man.
Yep.
So what's in banana pudding? What's in the barbecue banana pudding?
We've never talked about the famous debate. Do you know the famous debate around banana pudding?
Oh, yeah. Vanilla wafers, no wafers? Can't remember.
Yeah. Which one is it? You know, do you like them pinky or do you like them crispy? You know, that argument will never get sold or never get settled.
Yep. That's super fun. Yeah, and it's delicious. And then you have pecan pie. I know you have the ice cream that people say is very difficult to find, the Bluebell brand.
And I've been a little bit light on the Bluebell this year. It's just I've just been really busy, and we've been doing a lot of menu adjustments, and we've been doing a lot of things. And so I went through most of the summer with Bluebell, and I just got to get off my duff and get the order in again and get it shipped up here. There's been some changes on the Bluebell side too, and that's also conflicted things a little bit because they've outsourced direct ship to doing the B2B business. They've outsourced it. And so that held us up for a little while too. And those things will stop the availability. And the reason is if they don't ship it correctly, like Bluebell used to do, then the dry ice wears out and it gets a little soft. And when it gets soft, you have a bad experience in the cup because you'll take the top off of it, and then you'll see where it's been liquefied and all falling down on one side and going, well, you know, that's not real fresh Bluebell ice cream. And so they've had some shipping problems. And so I know people ask me all the time, how come you don't have it right now? And it's just there's a number of issues that come up with trying to bring ice cream, you know, 2,800 miles and keep it frozen and those kinds of things going through UPS and, you know, FedEx and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm sure. So I heard that there's been several people online that they will go to BBQ2U just to have the ice cream because they can't find that ice cream. So
there's another business in town, or not here in Gig Harbor, but in the area that brings in a larger variety of Bluebell than I do. Because they're bringing in the pints and they're bringing in the half gallons and things as well. They're making a deal out of it. So I was happy to see that. I was hoping that maybe I could take a little bit of credit for influencing that, but no, they're a good bunch of guys, and I'm trying to remember their name right now, so I'd have to, tell you later.
I didn't know it was available anywhere else. So we would be bad to not mention the Olala wines, and you do
A
serve
lot of
beer,
wine.
and
Yeah,
you
Mary Ellen, she does such a great job up there at the winery, and
does.
she's she's a very special person, and she runs that thing all by herself. That's what's really amazing, that to run that vineyard. And I think she's got some helpers that will come, but for the most part, she runs that whole thing by herself. So
Mhm.
you got to be really proud of what Mary Ellen has created.
Yep. And it's not available everywhere, but there's a large selection of Olala wines at BBQ2U. You only serve one beer. Why do you only serve one beer?
Because it's a Texas beer. I'd serve two if I could get Lone Star up here, but Shiner's the only thing I can get, because you can't sell Lone Star beer outside of Texas. It's not
Mhm.
licensed for it. So,
Okay. And what about the candy that you sell, the pecan candy? Can you talk about that?
the Lamb's candies, they're my favorites too. And I've told on this series, I've explained the story of the pecan praline, how in the late 1800s, after they had built the Capitol in Austin, and the street that runs up to the Capitol is called Congress, and it used to be lined with these really beautiful, really large pecan trees back in those
Mhm.
days. And there was a candy maker who opened a store, and he was making various kinds of candy. And the story goes he lost it in a poker game,
Oh my
and
goodness.
his name was Lamb, and he lost it in a poker game. And his son was so distraught over this thing, he went and pulled resources together, went to the guy that his dad had lost the store to, bought it back for the gambling debt,
Oh my
and
goodness.
then it was the son that actually started picking up the pecans off the ground, right, in fall, and storing them. And then he made the burnt caramel that goes with it, right, and combined the two to get the Texas praline. And so it's a very Austin centric thing. Lamb's Candies makes all kinds of stuff, but it's the pralines and the chocolate covered pralines that are the star of the show.
Yeah, it's delicious. And you have a jalapeno version of it as well, right? On the
Yeah,
counter there.
burnt cream, and there are people that are just fanatics over that.
Yes, I know. It sells well. I sit there and watch people buy it. Okay, so the big question though is, are you going to meet the demands of any of these people who are asking you to add things to the menu? Like cream corn comes up a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know which ones you hear the most of, but are you going to adjust your menu, your flavors, or your sauces? Are you going to make a spicy sauce? Goodness, I hear that all the time. Why do you
Yeah.
only have the sweet, no hot sauce?
Well, because
No.
my spicy sauce hurt people, and so I don't make it commercially. And
Okay.
what I consider apparently what I consider spice and what others consider spice are two different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the whole reason why we have the sriracha at the store, was because it's a nice way to complement the sweet and tangy of the sauce,
Mm-hmm.
and you can mix it to taste with the sriracha, and that's what I encourage people to do. Because I don't make the 1 million Scoville sauces anymore. It's just it hurts people.
What about the rubs? Are the rubs that you have for sale the only rubs you use, or are there other
That's the only
things
ones we
as
use.
well? Okay.
Right. You got to remember that the store is created as a nod to the founding families of Texas barbecue, right? And so everything we do here is that 100-plus-year-old recipe that the founders, the immigrants that founded the area used, right? The wood,
Mm-hmm.
the salt, pepper, learning the technique of how to make that into bark,
Mm-hmm.
um, the red rub, right, that can do chickens and some of the more flavorless products, and kind of bring some pop into it. Plus the red rub's in the sauce too. I'll give you that secret, right?
Oh, okay. Wow, that is an insider tip.
Yeah.
So you're not going to add Hawaiian to your pork. You're not going to add Asian or any of these other
Nope.
flavors, because that's some of the pressure that comes to us from the north in Seattle is all those kind of variations of the
Right.
multicultural flavors. And it sounds like what you're saying is no, we're going to stay focused on basically Austin and other type barbecue.
Yeah. Because BBQ2U is a single focus, right? And if I was going to do something more formal, like you're talking about, or exotic, I'd open a different restaurant to do that with.
Mm-hmm.
This one is a joint, right? In the true sense of a barbecue joint. That's
Mm-hmm.
why you walk in there. That's why the smoke is allowed to penetrate everything, right? That's why the TVs are up on the wall and the things are haphazard and organic in
Mm-hmm.
there because it is in fact a barbecue joint, okay, not a barbecue restaurant. And
Yeah.
there's a very big difference. If I wanted to be Terry Black and have these really ornate um, lobbies and highly filtered airs and all this kind of stuff, I would do that, right? But no, this is a barbecue joint, much in the way I grew up. If you ever go down to Texas and go to Lockhart and see the original places, you'll understand completely what BBQ is. It's about as basic and organic as you can possibly be.
Yes, I agree. And it preserves that southern appeal. It preserves kind of that rough and rugged, everyone's welcome appeal. Sometimes when you make a restaurant so fancy and perfect, it doesn't make everyone feel comfortable. And I mean, I think moms can run in there and grab food for their kids, or you could go out to dinner there for a date night. I mean, it
Yeah.
serves a variety of purposes, hang out for the game, things like that. So yeah, I love that. I love that you're holding on to that identity as a smokehouse joint and not trying to be something you're not. That's for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this menu here. Hold on a second. And I think we should wrap up just by talking about catering because I know that you're coming up on a big demand season, and I think it would be good to remind people that if they want catering, they should be calling you now. And maybe it's too late now. Is it too late now? Or is your holiday
Nope.
booked?
No, we got lots of holiday parties, and I will point this out. January, February planning right now. You may not want to accept the fact that you're in the holiday season, but here's my message to you: you're in the holiday season,
Yeah.
right? And right after the holiday season, if you're a business, you have your coordination meetings, your yearly kickoff lunches, your face to faces, whichever name you use in your corporation, and you're going to need catering. All right, give us a call. We can do the box lunches or the larger trays or whatever, just as easy. They're both the same. So don't only think about holiday stuff, even though I want to encourage you to get your orders in for turkey, right? Can we do the turkey breast, that you can pick up the day before and we give you heating instructions and, can we do so much of that? We do about 500 pounds of that, I think, the day before Thanksgiving. It's really insane.
You run out
Um,
every year. You run
yeah,
out
we
every
run,
year.
we run out every year for it, and that's awesome. And then the brisket gets popped really good for Christmas, right, and that kind of thing. But don't forget that now is really a great time if you're a company and you're going to, have those face to faces and those meetings to kick the year off, right? Let us come in there and feed you, right? I promise I won't make it so heavy that everybody takes a nap, but right. But we want to start the year off good, and so let's get those orders in.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, sounds good. The numbers there on the screen. You can also just go to texasbbq2u.com and click on catering. And there's a full catering menu and a form you can fill out. If you don't want to have a conversation, you just want to submit it all online, you can do that. Or you can call the store number and ask for Gary or any of the. Can anybody there help them with catering, or do they have to talk to you? You are.
Mostly the young ones will pass it on to one of the senior guys, but the thing that's different now than it was previously, because I used to do all the catering by myself.
Mhm.
Okay, there's now three of us that are answering these catering calls, right? And I've got people now that because I just got wore out, I couldn't do it all by myself, and I was missing calls and upsetting customers and stuff. And so I've had to figure out a way to get others to respond to these things while I
Mhm.
continue to work and do the things I got to do. So yeah, there's three of us now, Jason, Connor, and myself that could answer them. And what really gets messed up sometimes is they all use my email to go back to the customer, right?
Mhm.
But I think Connor's now got his own email. Jason's got his own email. And so you'll see one. So whoever's available, and for example, Connor's really good if you're what we're talking about here. You want to get a turkey order in, or you got 12, 15 people, and you need to make sure it's ready, and you come in and pick it up on a certain day. Connor's really good at those things. And then Jason is the guy that goes with me on the weddings and the memorial services, and a lot of times sets up the concessions for fairs and stuff like this. And so so I've kind of got it distributed a little bit, right? And then they both work directly with me, for so that we keep coherence in the calendar.
Yeah, got it. Okay, so it's had to grow, sounds like. Well, we should wrap up, but we have a couple comments that came in while we've been chatting. Lance says, hello, good afternoon. We say hello,
Hi,
Lance. And then Doug Fike says, my favorite way to enjoy smoked meats is with sliced pickles, sliced sweet onion, and plain white bread. Oh, I like this guy. That sounds like South Texas. Any chance adding these maybe as a side? So you do have rolls. You don't have white bread, right?
We've tried the white bread a bunch of times in different ways.
Yeah.
In fact, when the store first opened, I had the big bread containers out there next to the Coke machine, right? And it just got to the point where we were throwing so much away, and bread got so expensive that we said, okay, so then we tried again. And so then we started getting loaves of bread in, and we would take and make, 3, 4 pieces and wrap them in cellophane.
Yeah.
And then but it was the same effect again. People see it there, but only a very few people ask for it, and so it goes bad. I have to throw it away, and I'm just not into loss, right? And but the Hawaiian rolls, on the other hand, they seem to fit the need here in the Pacific Northwest. People love them. They'll get 2 or 3 of them, and they'll sop up their sauces and gravies with that, and go figure, right? So you always work yourself into what the majority of your customers will enjoy.
Yeah.
And I apologize to the folks that that want the other, and I just can't give it to them right now.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Doug, for the feedback, though. We love hearing from you. And then he also says he loves the signs on the hallway. He loves the signs on the hallway. I can't read the rest of what he said here. And then Donna Lormore says hello. So hi, Donna.
Hey, Donna.
Thanks for joining us here. I don't know who the rest of these crazy cats are that have been watching us, but thank you guys for giving us input. We would love to get questions. If you want to come next month and bring your questions, we're happy to answer them live. You can comment them in, and then I always check them. Yeah, it'd be fun. So, but thank you, Gary. Thanks for reviewing with us your favorites and the menu and why the menu. And it's just always fun to hear you talk about the history. I think that one of the things I learned is that this is not just Austin influence, but there's other parts of the country. You've had barbecue and picked up things and kind of developed your menu. And thank you for explaining about why you're selling by the pound now, because I think a lot of people would really like the trays back, but it makes sense what you explained about the being a smoked meat house and staying central to that vision. So I don't know if there's anything you want to share about philanthropy or anything I've missed today, but we probably should wrap up.
I just want to say, continue to support my schools that are running the counter takeovers. We have a new one every week. And then please support my authors, because especially right now, I'm going to take a minute, so just hold on. Especially right now as this economy is slowing down, right? We don't have the bigger lunch rushes like we did in the summer. Tourism is down, right? And so we're not getting a lot of of that kind of business coming in right now. And while the store is equipped to deal with downturns, right, the authors that invest their time and effort into that authors area will struggle, right? And so I want to encourage everybody, especially here as we come into the holiday season, come check out their books. They're really good authors. I have 42 authors that cycle through that space. All their books are up on the shelves back there. They're all plugged in to the POS systems up at the counter, so the author doesn't have to be there for you to buy one. Support these guys, and it'll make them happy, and it'll make me happy, and then also help us encourage your students to sign up. I do partner with the authors for each Peninsula High School seniors and Gig Harbor High School seniors have the opportunity to sign up for the BBQ2U literacy scholarship. It's $1,000, right? So I do 1,000 to each school, and what I'm trying to encourage through all this is literary, reading, writing, librarian stuff, what have you, literary stuff, right? And we have a lot of STEM, math and science stuff like that. And as you guys know, I'm very capable of that stuff. But it all starts with being able to read, right? And people who and write. One of the things I enjoy doing is writing, and hopefully there'll be an announcement here in the not too coming future about writing. But when I find my extra 5 minutes a day, I'll try to work on that, right? So that there's that kind of thing. I also want to encourage, we support through the authors area there, the Dolly Parton Imaginary Library signups. Okay, and if you have a toddler, that you're trying to prep for school, there's no harm in signing up. You get there's a free book a month that will come to you, right? It's no cost to the parents, right? It's a great resource that Dolly Parton does, and we partner with the Gig Harbor Rotary in order to facilitate that. And so, get these free books coming to the kids. One of my favorite things I did with my kids, when they were is to read those books, right? Every day, and get that repetition started so that they wanted to learn how to read them too. And as a family, we had a good time with that, and I'd like to recreate that in every young family there is today as well.
Yeah, we need less screen addiction and more book reading for sure. And even as Gary's friend, I'll tell you that he encourages you to read books. He's not just saying that; he really does hold that as a belief. So thanks for pushing that. I love that. So all right, we're going to wrap up. Thanks, Gary, and we'll see you again next month. And I'm sure we'll be talking about holiday happenings coming in. It is the end of October, so we'll be sharing more about that next month. So thank you.
All right, guys, have a good time. Eat more barbecue.